Today we'll look back at the year that was 2022, and like all years, it was shaped by what came before it.
Sony might be in a bit of a pickle.
Is that Stalker 2 in 3 or 4 months?
And that Warhammer 40k.
And Warhammer 40k. And then you got Starfield. Oh, and Forza Motorsport will come out next year as well.
There's like a dozen exclusives on Xbox in 2022, which is crazy, and then a couple of surprises in Game Pass.
We'll definitely see a Valve next year. I'd bet money on that.
I think that Microsoft has already won 2022. I could be wrong. They have a new IP in Starfield. They have a new IP in Redfall. They have obviously Deathloop coming out, and Forza Motorsport, whatever they're going to call it.
That narrative of Xbox having no games, that's totally crushed. Like,
It's done.
Stop.
In a month where strapped for cash, Sony paid $3.6 billion for Bungie and God of War released to everyone's delight on PC. The main news that ended up consuming the year was the inspirational story of a little boy with no more than a dream and $68.7 billion in his pocket. It all began pleasant enough, with allegations of sexual harassment at Blizzard at the back end of 21, combined with this picture circulating alongside rumours of a Cosby suite, leading to fall of stocks, and our hero Phil Spencer declaring he was about to change the way he does business with Activision Blizzard King.
We like gaming because of you. We hope you like gaming too.
$68.7 billion later, and Xbox cherubs around the world woke up to the dream of Call of Duty being first-party exclusive. It was all initially looking quite positive, with Jim Ryan voicing only concerns that he expects current contracts to be honoured, and Microsoft going that extra mile in guaranteeing them 3 years on top of their 2 remaining. Life seemed good. Of course, like any comedic tragedy, it was going well until it wasn't. The realization of Call of Duty being on Game Pass day one, and Microsoft having back the marketing rights they foolishly gave away when they didn't care about you, led to mass panic over at Sony, with hero Jim Ryan declaring several more years of guaranteed Call of Duty being inadequate. Of course, shareholders who had previously been spiraling into the depths of depression were more than happy with the news of the $68.7 billion acquisition, as was Saudi Arabia, who was the first to show approval, quickly followed by Brazil. And that's when documents started becoming public, revealing that Sony was paying for blocking rights, and Xbox hearts broke around the world at the realization that Call of Duty wouldn't be on Game Pass day one for years, regardless of the deal. Naturally, common sense didn't prevail, and Xbox fans couldn't quite understand why Sony paid for these marketing rights that ensured a trillion-dollar company like Microsoft didn't have such an advantage. Nor was it ever pondered why a trillion-dollar company keeps losing these marketing deals.
We hope you like gaming too.
And as the stupidity of fans grew, so did Sony's desperation, with Jim Ryan flying to Brussels to voice concerns to the European Union regulators, with even Google tagging along, pretending to be concerned that Stadia wouldn't be able to compete. I'm sure it'd be fine. And then, like a flamboyant flamingo, to no one's surprise, out came the CMA voicing its own concerns.
We like gaming because of you. We hope you like gaming too.
Soon followed by documents revealing Sony was worried that, should the deal go through, Microsoft would be able to raise the price of its console and games. Indeed. And whilst this was happening, Microsoft was anxiously insisting that Call of Duty would remain on PlayStation for as long as there is a PlayStation. Then the FTC, feeling neglected, boasted to the world they were suing Microsoft. So smoking their righteousness, it wasn't long before they got caught in a lie. Soon Microsoft was bending over further backwards and offering Sony a contract guaranteeing Call of Duty that wouldn't have to be renewed for a further 10 years. Sony thus far has declined. Of course, you could be forgiven in thinking this no more than a magic trick. Call of Duty designed to hold sleight of hand where the real prize is, has and always will be king, and the mobile games. Well, naturally, you're wrong. Call of Duty is everything. Nothing can compete, nothing can come close to its quality. Call of Duty is you, Call of Duty is me, Call of Duty is life. Call of Duty is Xbox.
We like gaming because of you. We hope you like gaming too.
In a month where Ubisoft wants some of that acquisition money, Horizon gets overshadowed again, this time by Elden Ring, and Phil Spencer warns that Amazon should be watched out for. February was mostly filled with talks of TV.
It turns out, TV was the natural evolution of gaming, going from catch co-op to waiting your turn, to just watching people play and never getting a turn. So finally, taking the gameplay out of the game just made sense. The biggest thing holding back gaming was that they were always trying to put things in our hands. From controllers to mobile phones and tablets to these things. Now all our hands can be free to wander during the game. Of course, the very best thing about games coming to TV is that they always show the greatest respect to the story and existing fan base. With such fan service as being finally brave enough to show Master Chief's bomb, which every Xbox kid's been asking for since 2001. Of course, seeing our icons naked had always been wanted. It was nothing but a lie. So with all this new TV coming, it's tantalising to think about just what other body parts from our favourite characters will get shown, because googling Big Daddy's nipple doesn't get the right results. The right results. future of gaming is looking fantastic.
The one that makes your TV more intelligent, the one system for a new generation. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Xbox One.
In the month where Phil Spencer enjoys the transparency he has with gamers, while still promising games in 2022, and Gran Turismo 7 putting out a patch after release and showing the more you pay, the more you fun, talk soon turned to NFTs in gaming. Here Fox explains just how we got to this point.
When me and Callie were just paps, we used all our birthday money and bought Street Fighter 2 for the SNES. Not yet spoiled by the world, found enjoyment in a version that today is basically like playing a geriatric mode. We didn't know any better until Capcom made sure we did.
Hey, you kid. You think you're a real tough guy, huh? You want to be Street Fighter? You'll never be Street Fighter playing that version. You need to play this version. That version for baby, this for ninja.
What are you waiting for?
Capcom had told us we needed to rebuy the game for some faster gameplay, and repackaged it as Street Fighter 2 Turbo. We had no money, so Colin had to learn how to dance. Soon we were back to playing Street Fighter 2 again.
Oh, hey, you kids. You think you're so tough, huh? Well, you are nothing without this version of Street Fighter.
Capcom did this and released a full-price Street Fighter 2 game 4 times in the space of 4 years. Each time, Colin losing a bit more innocence.
Stay calm. Concentrate on the screen. Street Fighter 2 is on Super Nintendo. From the arcades, the ultimate combat game. Super Nintendo with Street Fighter 2. It's unbeatable.
Thankfully, as we grew, so did gaming, and the event of our consoles being online led to DLC, a prolonged life mechanic to combat the trading culture that became such a necessity when we were being asked to buy the same game over and over again. Now we had the full complete gaming disc, but we just lacked sections of it. This came under the guise of support, a buzzword that was such a selling point, special mention was made of it before every release. To add to this newfound ease of delivering additional content to our games, new currencies were invented. The old currency of standard money simply not being good enough. Instead, you needed real money to buy fake things, and thus came about Microsoft Points. The genius of Microsoft Points was that they only sold in set amounts, meaning you always had to buy more points than you actually wanted, and was always left with less points than you actually needed. It was a beautiful dance, Micromonetization in games grew more and more prevalent. An idea birthed decades earlier in a Double Dragon 3 arcade cabinet
What would you like? You only need
spread to horse armour and soon transformed into season passes. The best thing about season passes was the surprise element of them, whereas before you were simply buying content locked on a disc, confident you knew the developers knew what they were selling you. With season passes, not even the devs knew what they were charging for. We simply had to trust them, which was fine, as they never let us down before. And as we went on, this trust exercise led to them selling us boxes, called loot boxes or surprise mechanics.
We look at it as surprise mechanics.
Loot boxes are a bit like Schrodinger's cat. There's either something good in them or something bad. As long as you don't open it, it's both good and bad. And when you do open it, it's usually a dead cat. Nine out of 10 times to be exact. The hope being that one occasion of getting a decent box sends an adrenaline rush to a developing brain. And of course YouTube influencers all promoted the addictive quality of this, feeding into the excitement of watching these digital boxes open.
Oh, Mom! Wait! Oh, Mom! Mom! Oh my God! No! You do not understand! You do not understand what's just happened! Oh my days!
After 3 blues, the algorithm drops you a gold. See, it went from 3 blues, 2 blues, next one's gonna have 1 blue, and then gold. 1 blue, next one's a gold. The algorithm, I'm smart, watch.
But the best thing was, you didn't need to worry about money anymore. Daddy's magic card was now tied to the console, so it was super easy for kids to be like their favourite YouTuber. Of course, surprise mechanics were nothing new.
Kinder, Gibbo Shaky. Me unscrabbly. Shaka Doobie! Doubly Shaka Doobie! Pop Swabble! Toy!
And you generally knew it would only be a surprise at a limited number of possibilities. Each possibility already revealed to you at the back of the box. We'll take that one.
Wow, a pretty girl! You were hungry!
Thankfully, gaming started to remove this barrier for microtransactions and push them in a free-to-play format, encapsulating everything that came before it. Only now you could spend real money on fake money for longer periods, ensuring you were forever with something to purchase. And then this brilliant thing called NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. So humans had always given into the temptation of indulgence and vices to make life a little more tolerable. As we further disconnected from one another, daily feeding into our sense of imposter syndrome. Of course, no chase is greater than the pursuit of money. The best thing about NFTs is not only can they exploit the possibilities of surprise mechanics, they can also offer the possibility of making money. Whereas before, an entrepreneur like myself would have to sell something physical, NFTs weren't physical. The only thing they have in common with my undies is emotional attachment, been through some tough times together. In fact, the value of NFTs depends mostly on emotional value, meaning the chances of actually making money are slim to none. As NFTs enter the gaming landscape, the likes of Sony are investing in patents that would allow you to track the history of NFTs and purchase digital items that have been linked to your favourite influencer. Colin? Colin, you wally. What are you doing? Just because you have Ninja's gun doesn't make you a ninja. Culling's always going to be a culling. Of course, the very best part of NFTs is the amount of energy they take to store, destroying the climate and leading at some point to the Earth exploding, and ultimately destroying us all. Totally worth it, Colin.
In a month where hard up for cash Sony invests $1 billion in Epic Games, Xbox CEO Satya boasts Xbox is outselling PS5, and news that 46% of PlayStation owners are interested in Game Pass. The main news of the month was the future of ads in gaming. Using words like non-intrusive in the same breath as rewards for watching, both Microsoft and Sony voiced intentions on creating real-life ad programs for games. Because frankly, we all love adverts to add to that sense of immersion.
There's good reason for my glistening skin, and how I shine, and how my pores are so clean and clear. I eat little baby's ice cream. It keeps me young. It keeps me light on my feet. I spring.
Of course, ads in games had been nothing new. EA's Fight Night series fluttered around with up-to-date advertising back on the 360. And we all praised them for adding more authenticity to our 60-bit games.
I need a plate, a plate, a plate. I need a plate to get my food. If I don't have a plate, I can't get my food.
But the focus on these new programs will initially be free-to-play games, aiding in their never-ending desire to monetize the player. Here, gamers would seem the perfect target, where advertisements can seep into their subconsciousness, whilst your brain's at its most supple and susceptible. Batteries. Let's get batteries. I'm playing my game now. It's a bit late in the day now. Huh? Oh. Ooh. Batteries. I make a lovely dinner. I make a lovely dinner. Won't you join me too? Of course, advertising in free-to-play games had previously existed, though generally reserved for digital store items. Whereas this is more the likes of Amazon, who have already proven invaluable to the functionally challenged in reminding us when to eat, sleep and spend, will now, like that nasty rash, be biting for your attention during precious gaming. But then if it brings a sense of immersion and remains non-intrusive.
Grandma, you have a pet? It's my singing parakeet.
Introducing Perfect Polly, the pet parakeet that comes to life when you enter the room. Perfect Polly is motion activated. When you come near, she starts to move and sing. This life-size replica mimics the sounds and movements of a real parakeet in the wild. Perfect Polly turns to look at you, then starts to sing, and even shakes her tail feathers. Her cheerful lilting song can keep you company all day long. Everyone loves Perfect Polly.
Though increased ad revenue for gaming should only be a good thing and benefit us all greatly. Sony themselves, citing their want to push such a program, is to increase more free-to-play games. And luckily for us, Sony will possibly have 10 games of a service already in development to place ads into. Naturally though, as we go, the definition of non-intrusive will get stretched, and as we're bombarded by ads, the inevitable will happen, as it always does, and we'll be given the option to pay to turn them off. Though the question will remain, at what point does the entrance fee to these ads already set us back 70? I guess it's fine as long as they add to a sense of immersion.
I'm making waffles. Oops! Hold those waffles. I think an ad's coming on.
Little Ninja, with YouTube Premium there are no ads.
Wow! You don't know what you're talking about.
Get YouTube Premium.
In a month where Microsoft states their vision for cloud gaming is unwavering and confirms Keystone, Xbox outsells PS5 in Japan, Square sells its Western studios, and Jim Ryan upsets everybody by sending an email celebrating the birthday of his cats. The main news though is the delay of Starfield and Redfall. Here, Hamster sharing his disappointment, which I'm sure we all relate to.
I was here. He was uncanny. I was saying to my friend, like, he got his Starfield, he got a Red Bull, I was really looking forward to it, you know. And then he got delayed, like, and he was like, oh, I don't know how to play now. And the Xbox had nothing, he needs to show me. So I was all like, well, I guess I'll just play the PlayStation, like. But I prefer it, but I pay for the gamepass, you know. And so, I mean, what do you do, like?
Indeed. In a month where PS5 sells over 20 million, yet the Xbox still outsells it again in Japan, TV gets Game Pass, Sony's new subscription service comes out to fanfare from those previously complaining subs were killing gaming, and Sony fans around the world all got angry at Xbox for keeping an announcement to themselves for 48 hours on Persona games that had been exclusive to PlayStation for decades. But the big news of the month was Kojima working with Xbox. Here is Mouse with Storytime.
Come here, little mouse. Let me tell you a story that starts all the way back in June 2021. In those days, Microsoft had a conference that showed all the up-and-coming exciting games that Xbox fans could forever look forward to. And all their dedicated fan channels proudly beat their chest, proclaiming that in 2022 Xbox would be unstoppable. Meanwhile, Sony had gone quiet and the PlayStation faithful began to lose their minds. Something had to give, and an idea was placed. focused on their tinfoil hats and with heroic determination started spreading the word. Abandoned, a game revealed just a month earlier, was really a Silent Hill game made by Kojima himself. It wasn't long till the sole developer of Abandoned and Mr. Blue Box Studio slithered out the shadows, taking full advantage of those fragile minds and feeding the conspiracy further.
They had to publicly come out and say we're not affiliated with Kojima. And people believe them? You believe that. You believe that. Why do you think they wouldn't prepare for that? How many times can Kojima make a fake studio with a fake name? Only so many times. So each time you gotta up it. You gotta make it more convincing. You have to do it. You're saying the Blue Box YouTube channel banner. Yes, I don't have it up right now, but do you know what the channel banner is? Can anybody guess? You know what it is. It's Hills. It's Hills.
It's quite a rabbit hole. It's really fascinating. I gotta say, like Jason Schreier earlier today said, yeah, I'm 100% convinced it's Kojima. And then a couple of hours later he goes, all right, it's probably not, but still, this is amazing.
But there was a spanner in the works, and Mr. Jeff Grubb, what did he do? Proudly displaying his ample chest, he claimed Kojima was secretly working with none other than Xbox.
Oh my god.
But surely you see this tweet. Surely we can all agree here. We can all agree that them tweeting this out is damaging to their studio, to their game, and most importantly, to their partner, that being Sony, if this is just a troll tweet. You do not tease Silent Hill. You do not tease Silent Hill when it's been rumored for years. I don't care if it's a troll. This, I'm telling you now, Sony wouldn't allow this.
The Sony faithful bit their quivering bottom lips and doubled down. Abandoned was Kojima. They gathered in circles, chant and cast spells against Grab. For sure he was a liar. Is he dead? A part of him was dead, but only his dignity.
Okay, I got to do this quick because if Steve Ballmer sees me do this, they're gonna stop paying me the big bucks. So, but you know what? I just want to prove that that I can be unbiased. So here I go. This is in response to all those pictures of me holding an Xbox and smiling. Oh, it tastes good.
Months and months go by, and little cracks start to show. There was more rumours that Kojima was working on a cloud-based horror game. And the Sony faithful start to accept the possibility that Kojima is working on 2 games. And Xbox gets the crappy cloud-based one that no one will be able to play.
Kojima Productions, their next game, may end up being published by Microsoft, which is something that frankly would be very disappointing to me, only because to me it seems like when it comes to Kojima, you know, looking at the relationship he's had with Sony over the years, you just assume that his next game is going to come to PlayStation, right?
Then a twist. Walking Sim Bloober Team is rumoured to be working on a Silent Hill. Now bear in mind, PlayStation fans hated Bloober Team's last game because it came to Xbox first. Not ideal news at all. And as for Blue Box, they deleted all their teasing tweets and gone quiet. Snitches usually get stitches, but reluctantly, those on the inside are listened to. Abandoned isn't Kojima. But it starts with an S and ends in an L. The PlayStation faithful all slammed down their tinfoil hats and consoled one another and prayed to Kojima to send them a sign. They faithfully whipped themselves with 9 tails to their blood, and Kojima appeared from the heavens above and showed his faithfulness by offering them Death Stranding 2. What? Yeah, a sequel to that walking sim Death Stranding. A few weeks later, the Xbox Conference 2022.
Special partnership between Xbox Game Studios and one of the greatest creative minds and innovators in our industry.
Is it?
Someone that I have admired.
You're
for
fucking kidding me.
Today, I'm pleased to share we will be working together to create a brand new experience like we've never seen before.
This Kojima? Yes! Yes! No!
This man has no allegiance.
You son of a bitch!
全く新しいものです。それが作れるんだというのをずっと待っておりました。マイクロソフトの最先端クラウドテクノロジーと、市場の変化によってその未知なる構想。
So Kojima really was working with Xbox. Xbox fans cheered in celebration, and Jeff Grubb cried a little tear, for he had been vindicated. How did the PlayStation fans take it? About as well as expected, their fragile minds completely broken.
I fear what will happen to Blue Box Studios and Sony if this isn't Silent Hill made by Kojima.
And maybe Mr. Kojima was even somehow involved in this, or many people said at the time, I think, that they thought maybe this Blue Box game studio was similar to Moby Dick Studio. It was sort of this fake studio that Hideo had created, with a fake developer, much like Moby Dick with Joaquin Mogren, to suggest that, maybe this was a secret and an elaborate ruse that was a game that Hideo was playing with the fans. And, the rumors just kept going, and time and time again, I think the developer wasn't even really being honest with people about what was going on with the game. And Hassan, who was the creator of this game, supposedly, has never really made any public appearances. I got to speak to him actually a few times on the phone, and his initials, even HK, people thought that matched Mr. Kojima's name. So there was some speculation that his true identity was Hideo Kojima. And then he released a video message saying that his existence was real and he wasn't fake, he wasn't tied to Kojima Productions. And I think even at one point on his website, he had to say that, it wasn't related to Kojima Productions. And he had to say that on his actual website because there were so many rumors about it. My first impression was, I didn't really know what was real. And sometimes, even though we're good friends, sometimes maybe even I was like, oh, is Hideo really doing something secretly? And didn't even tell me about it. And this could be, really big mystery. And it was, amazing that his initials were the same as Hideo Kojima, and it was the studio no one had heard of. Yet they put out a teaser on the PlayStation channel on YouTube, and they had this playable demo on PS5. So I'm like, oh, it seems like a lot for a new studio to be able to create all this content with, no one had heard of them before. But as I looked into it, and the first time I talked to Hassan, it was really clear that it was odd. Like, I didn't quite understand what was happening, and I could never get any information on the game. And he kept saying, I want to show a trailer at your event and showcase the game. And I kept saying, well, can I see the game? Can you show me anything? And he could never show me anything on the game, and I'm not even sure that there is a game there. So there was a lot of rumors and speculation around it. And I'm sure you must have heard about this, Hideo, at some point, right? When did you first hear about this supposed abandoned game?
Well, this one I really didn't understand at first. Users just kept sending me pictures of this Hassan. They still send me collages and deep fake images, like 20 a day. It's really quite a nuisance. This has been going on for almost 2 years now. And well, Jeff, you remember when we did that Moby Dick thing? You were in on the whole thing, and that was pretty fun. But people should know that I wouldn't do the same thing twice. I've never spoken with Hassan. The game is yet to be released, right? I don't think there's much he could do or say at this point, but if he releases the game, then people might understand. So maybe he should just hurry up and release it. It'll die down after that. Plus, I'm not involved with it in any way. I don't know who started this rumor, but this is the better type out of the two I mentioned earlier. I think this is fake news based off of users' wishes and hopes. So, Mr. Hassan, I'm sure things weren't easy, and as a creator, I think it's okay to dismiss it completely. But now that there's been a buzz and things have gone viral, you should take advantage of it. If you create something good and share it with everyone, they will learn the truth. I think maybe that's what you should do. Fake news is a bad thing, but now that we've both gained attention from all of this, let's boost morale and create something good. Once they have made something, the users who play it will understand it's not Silent Hill, and I'm not involved, but they will still grow to love their game. I think there's a way to turn fake news around positively. I say this, but I've never met the guy.
But it creates, I think also a lot of pressure because he started getting, the death threats and things like that of saying, tell us what it really is and create a lot of pressure because I think they didn't really have a game. So there was all this buzz, as you said, that you could ride the wave. But I think then they had so much pressure because the expectation was so high from the fans that, they've said it's been over a year now. And I think they've sort of disappeared. And I think fans stopped trusting them because they didn't prove anything and they didn't show anything. So yeah, I think it's it's a great story about, I think, people creating so much hype that an independent developer, may have been not fully truthful with everyone about it, but then now created so much attention around them that it's very hard for them to ever deliver against the expectation.
And even though, just a few short weeks earlier, they knew Kojima was making Death Stranding 2, they still felt compelled to ask, without a hint of irony, if he was abandoning PlayStation.
In a month where hard up for cash Sony buys Haven Studios for reportedly $11 billion, and they officially acquire Bungie, Phil Spencer, after delaying every game for Xbox players, tweets that his most anticipated game of the year is God of War. And he wasn't alone, as this is the moment that PlayStation fans would go the extra mile in getting a release date. It was a night not dissimilar to this that here, at the Santa Monica studio, a young impressionable employee would unwittingly open her phone and be greeted by a message that have left eyes that were once innocent grow restless with nightmares. There within the message contained a picture so assaulting to the senses, we've had to make alterations to reveal it to you today. But I can tell you that the ferociousness of the assaultee's face was only matched by the aggressiveness of how he's holding his appendage. Now you may be wondering what would drive an individual to such depths of depravity, and how such a criminal mastermind was captured. For the who, I'm Mr. Squirrel. For the where, Santa Monica Studio. And for the why, because God of War had yet to have a release date. Here we spoke to the Santa Monica employee who received the photo and has bravely agreed to give an interview with us today.
I was doing my work when I got a message. It was the peanuts. My life flashed before my eyes.
And I believe something stood out as particularly unusual.
It was hairy, ginger, and had 3 testicles.
Next we spoke to the police to find out just how they cracked this heinous crime.
Well, we're about to do all sorts of forensics on it.
DNA and whatnot.
Well, it turns out it wasn't needed, because it was a text, so we just called the number.
And did he answer?
Yeah.
So just who is Mr. Squirrel? A loving childhood by all accounts, mildly molested, highly praised and overly fed. A happy child. Until one day his parents bought him a PlayStation, and he developed a history of indecent exposure almost immediately. But just as there are 2 sides to every coin, there is a side to this story that is yet to be told. Today we talk to him exclusively. Welcome.
Make sure you use one of those pixelation gizmos to tell my identity. I'm an innocent man in all this.
But you did show your flaccid member.
Penis? Yeah, I showed my penis. And what happened the next day? A date announced. I'm a goddamn hero. Did I get reward? No, sir. Backlash was immense. Call it witch hunt.
You did this to ensure Ragnarok got a date.
Motherfucker, they've been teasing that game since 2020. It was supposed to be out in 21. Games getting delayed left, right, and center. But PlayStation went out in a hot year. This would have been the crown jewel. I wasn't about to sit back and let that slip through my fingers. I got tweets to post. So I did the only thing I could do.
You showed your penis.
I showed my penis.
And have you shown consideration to your victim?
I show my penis to everybody. I show it to this guy, I show it to that guy. my penis gets results.
Indeed.
I'll show it to you right now, motherfucker. You want me to prove it?
Now, once the unpleasantness had died down, I did leave him with one parting question and asked, did he enjoy the game?
I didn't play it.
But just what, if anything, can we take away from such a twisted tale? Surely that sending your penis to a random stranger gains results. In a month where Sony says Call of Duty has no rival, Death Stranding comes to Game Pass to the delight of everyone. Indeed. PlayStation users are asked to pay more for better customer care, and harder for cash. Sony buys Savage Games and spends $112.5 million on 14% of From Software. But the big news of the month was the raising price of the PS5. Here's Hamster, who echoes all our feelings on that.
Honestly, I never seen nothing like it, you know. And, it was 2 years in, it was too late to get on, I'm like. And they already raised the price of the games, and oh, I was so angry. And I was saying to my friend, like, it wouldn't be so bad, but all they give us is the PS4 games, you know. What can you do, like?
Yes. Meanwhile, Sony added no new games for its premium subscription second month, and to everyone's delight, Spider-Man released on PC. In a month where Phil Spencer bravely announces that it's not right to raise prices during an economic crisis, after previously trying to double the price of gold during peak pandemic, the CMA raising concerns of the ABK deal, and Microsoft CEO Satya pleads on TV to be allowed to compete. But the biggest news of the month was the death of Stadia. The console that didn't need a console, unfortunately did need games. And what better tribute than a film that encapsulates all our feelings. In a month where Call of Duty sells best on PlayStation after fans talk boycott, and Microsoft insists it would be last place regardless of Call of Duty on Game Pass, Xbox's unwavering vision of cloud gaming wavers with the cancellation of Keystone, news that harder for cash Sony paid $3.5 million for Ark on PS Plus, and to everyone's delight, Uncharted releases on PC. The big story though was the release of Gotham Knights only being 30 frames per second. Who's to blame? None other than the Series S.
Two years in, we still refer to current gen consoles as next gen, as we still felt firmly stuck in last gen, and get new graphical updates passed off as current gen. This, in no small part, was thanks to the success of the PlayStation 4. To the point where Sony's out, we believe in generations, turned into, we believe in putting games out for more generations. Whereas Microsoft seemingly didn't believe in putting games out regardless of the generation. So it got to the point where we were just sat around waiting for the new generation of consoles to begin. But just like your teacher and that one kid at school that has a highly allergic reaction to peanuts, it took Ted a little too long to realise there was a problem. That problem seemingly being the Series S. As throughout 2022, Ted did nothing but moan about the console and how it was holding back the cross-gen games. This generally resulted in games being 30 FPS on the Series S and hitting 60 on the Series X. So underpowered and malnourished was the Series S that it ended up being coined with the label a potato. The Dying Light 2 devs blamed the 30 FPS restrictions on the limitations of the GPU, until they ignored those limitations and patched 60 FPS in later. Ignored those limitations and patched 60 FPS in later. And that was the harsh problem the devs faced. The Series S had proved popular, so devs had to reluctantly polish the £70 games they released on it. And then, out of the darkness, entered a Batman game that didn't have Batman in it. But such was the tastiness of the Series S, that Gotham Knights ended up running 30 FPS on all next generation consoles, so who knows what the future's gonna hold. Just like most potatoes, it could prove to be quite versatile. Or it could just be a potato. Either way, it's probably more powerful than your mum's PC.
In a month where Microsoft extended its Call of Duty contract offer to 10 years, Ricardo Cadesso from the EU Commission tweets that they're doing everything they can to keep Call of Duty on his PlayStation. Kojima's Xbox game Overdose is leaked. And to everyone's delight, Miles Morales released on PC. The big news of the month, though, was the price reveal of PSVR 2.
When the release date and price of PSVR 2 got announced, I voiced that I thought it was a bit expensive, and instantly got called in Xbox and told that they hope I die, and that my family dies, and that my nan dies, and that we go to the pits of hell where the heat's so hot that our eyes literally melt through our nostrils, and that our skin forms a sort of glue that molds us together into some indiscernible blob with limbs that's only purpose is to communicate our pain. Luckily, a week earlier, Elon Musk told us comedy was legal, so I knew they were only joking. I'm still crying a little. I quite like PSVR. My favourite was Paranormal Activity. It was so scary, I accidentally reached for a lamp and blitzed my friend with it. He's in a wheelchair now. The problem is, Sony's last published PSVR game was Iron Man in 2020. Then they pretty much left the device to die, a device that was released in 2016 and probably had a handful of decent games for it. Of course, the promise of drifting being a thing of the past, and if they can fix the issue where the lenses steam up as soon as it hits my cherub-like face, then maybe it could have some longer legs. But right now it's solely missing a Half-Life Alyx, and Horizon Zero Dawn looks like it's a trial by numbers VR experience, with a climbing section, an on-rail section, oh look, there's a bow section. There's nothing really to tempt me day one, other than the promise of having to rebuy my games again. I'll probably buy it one day, as shiny new things help escape the deep unhappiness in my life, but for 550 quid, well, I'd rather have an Xbox.
In a month where hard up for cash, Microsoft had announced they're raising the price of their games to $70. Having bravely spent a year holding back from doing so whilst they had no games, and the FTC announcing it was suing Microsoft, the little boy with nothing more than a dream and 68.7 billion was looking a little disheartened. We end 2022 with another story time.
Come here, little mouse. Let me tell you a story. It was a season of jollity, festivity, charity, holly and berry, and goodwill to all men, with perhaps one exception.
God bless you, merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Saviour was born on Christmas Day, to save poor souls from Satan's power, which a long time gone astray. And its tidings of comfort and joy, and its tidings of comfort and joy.
Mr. Ryan, during these difficult times, well, a few of us got to thinking, maybe you could lower the prices for the poor, to have some meals and meat, drink and warmth.
Tell me, are they near prisons?
There are.
And the workhouses, they're full of vigour.
They are.
The prices stay the same, and I'll do you one better. I'll raise the price of the console too. Now good day.
Good day, Mr. Ryan. Merry Christmas.
I said good day.
He doesn't seem very nice. Well, the additional cost was to ensure quality of these current gen versions of cross-gen games. Sony can't just be handing out free upgrades like these rich AA studios do. So what happened next? Jim Ryan sleeps sadly on a Christmas Eve night, till awoken by the strike of a clock hitting 1 AM.
Is that an undigested bit of beef? Fragment of an undercut potato? Tell me, apparition. Are you pleasure or nightmare?
Pass.
Very well. Is that a little from Spencer? So much money.
$68.7 billion in cash.
And what's up with the lad? Why isn't he playing with the others?
Because they don't have any major, first-party games this year.
Why is that my problem? Well, isn't it a problem money can't solve?
Call of Duty is now first party.
Over my dead body.
Ha, listen, Sony being in trouble is an understatement.
We will see about that.
The games are exclusive. They're not going to PlayStation. And you look at how dominant Xbox has made its platform with Xbox Game Studios, Bethesda, EA Play, Ubisoft Plus just announced, and now Activision and Blizzard becoming first party. Well, it seems pretty dire for PlayStation Nation. This deal pushes Microsoft ahead of Sony's PlayStation, and I don't even think it's a question. This is a generational win for Team Green.
Alright, enough now. No more.
Xbox will dominate.
Read all about it. Microsoft tries to buy Activision. Call of Duty offered for several years. Microsoft CEO very confident.
Jim Ryan. Well, hello, and my goodness.
Spirit, take me where you will. But if I ought to learn, let me profit by it. What happened? Who's that crying?
Phil Spencer.
And what's up with the lad now?
Sony is bullying Phil Spencer.
Bully? $1 trillion company? Humbug.
Most of the other third-party publishers and businesses don't have a problem with this deal. But the only one that seemed to have a problem and voiced their concern regarding this acquisition by Microsoft was Sony.
I'm just looking after my players. You'd want Xbox to do the same.
Raise console prices. Unprecedentedly, by the way. Raise games and make $70 games the standard. Charge us for $10 to play an upgraded version of a game that Microsoft allows for smart delivery for free. Should I keep going? $18 tier for PlayStation Plus Premium that doesn't give you new games day and date? Microsoft has said, hey, listen, we were going to give them 3 additional years.
The deal's no good enough.
It's absolutely pathetic that Sony would cry. Poor Sony.
You're the only one crying here.
Somehow gamers or consumers are not important to Sony.
We release games. What's he done this year other than spend daddy's money? He ought to try marketing outside America. There's a reason why the richest company's in third place, and it's near to do with me.
Sony potentially trying to play themselves as the victim when clearly they are the bully. The amount of lies, the fact that they are touting Game Pass is this ultimate destructor. Coming from the heavens above to destroy the world. Part of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse is a lie.
Ah, you say something different before, lad.
I don't like Sony.
What was that under your robe?
Bobby Kotick. Disgusting.
You're about to show me shadows of things that are not yet happened, but will happen at the time that lays ahead of us. Ghost of the future, I fear you more than the others. Lead on, spirit. Spirit, before I go any further, tell me one thing. These the shadows that will be, or maybe only.
This is the canary in the coal mine. Offered PlayStation a 10-year deal. I don't like Sony. I just don't like the way they do business.
Read all about it. Sony looking after gamers. CMA investigating deal. FTC sues Microsoft. So he didn't learn a lesson? No, little miss, he did not. Well, what's the point then? The point is to never give up, because you'll always get a better deal. Read all about it. Gamers say to stop merger.
Tell me, what day is it?
Well, it's Christmas Day, mister.
Aye, and a Merry Christmas it is too.
And that was an overdue nostalgic look at 2022. Depending on where you are, when you are, and who you are. Good morning, good evening, and good night.